Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive.
Great to be diving in.
Today, we're plunging into a truly transformative realm. It's this intersection of cutting-edge technology and human health.
Yeah, specifically the pharmaceutical industry, a cornerstone of global well-being, really.
Absolutely. And it's not just evolving, it feels like it's on the cusp of its most profound revolution yet.
It really does.
We often hear about artificial intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially generative AI. And you wonder, okay, what's the real world impact? Where does it actually make a difference?
Beyond the hype.
Exactly. Well, today we're going to show you precisely where it's reshaping a sector that, it literally touches every single life on the planet.
It's an incredibly exciting moment, wouldn't you say? We're seeing this paradigm shift.
Definitely.
Moving beyond just, theoretical talk about AI's potential.
Right.
And into these concrete applications that are already fundamentally altering how we discover, develop, and deliver medicine.
And the speed is incredible.
That's what's fascinating, the accelerating pace. How these things are moving from just an idea to, real implementation. It keeps pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
Totally. And to guide us through this intricate and, let's be honest, rapidly evolving landscape,
Right.
We're focusing on a pivotal leader.
Okay.
Someone right at that crossroads of AML, that's machine learning, and the pharma industry, Ajit Mishra.
Ah, right. His name comes up a lot in this space.
It does. And his insights aren't just academic, they're deeply practical, forged over, 27 plus years in IT, including a really distinguished time as a Microsoft executive. So this is leadership shaped, not in an ivory tower, but in high stakes, real world environments.
Indeed. That background gives him such a unique vantage point, doesn't it?
It really does.
Ajit Mishra isn't just watching the shift happen. He's actively crafting the future.
How so?
Through these powerful concepts like Pharma 5.0.
Which we'll get into.
Exactly. And practical frameworks like his CAIO Playbook. It's this blend of deep industry knowledge and cutting-edge tech foresight. That's what you need for this kind of transformation.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to unpack Ajit Mishra's groundbreaking work.
You bet.
Specifically, we'll be dissecting his Pharma 5.0 article. It presents, get this, 20 disruptive ideas for digital transformation.
20! Oh, wow.
All driven by generative AI. We'll explore how these ideas are really designed to speed up drug development, optimize patient care, streamline operations, basically create a much more agile, effective pharma sector for everyone.
And then we'll broaden out the view a bit, right? Look at his work with the CAIO Playbook.
Exactly. And the platform, CAIOs.com, how that's fostering this global community.
Right, because you need that community.
Totally. It's dedicated to making this AI-led transformation a real thing.
Yeah.
Because, great ideas are one thing.
But implementing them at scale, that takes leadership, community, shared understanding. It's not just about the tech.
Precisely. So get ready for some genuine aha moments, because hopefully by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a real shortcut to being truly well-informed about the future of pharmaceuticals.
And the incredible impact generative AI is really poised to have.
Okay, let's unpack this journey to Pharma 5.0.
Yeah.
Let's start with Ajit Mishra's foundational expertise. What makes his vision so grounded, so powerful?
Yeah, what's the basis for it all?
I think it really comes down to a career forged in, you could call it the crucible, right? Global pharma and tech.
Real world pressure.
Exactly. His insights aren't just theories. They come from direct, hands-on experience with some of the biggest names in the pharma world.
That's absolutely right. His practical experience is, it's not just extensive, it's incredibly diverse. We're talking direct collaborations, right?
Yeah, like who?
Global giants like Pfizer R&D Labs in Groton, Connecticut, where, the basic science happens.
The very beginning.
Right. And Johnson & Johnson in Raritan, New Jersey, another huge player.
Titans of the industry.
But it's not just U.S.-centric. He's also worked significantly with major Indian pharma companies, like Ranbaxy, which is now part of Sun Pharma, Lupin, and Glenmark, plus additional experience with Novartis and GSK. So it's a truly international perspective.
That's a really impressive list. And it tells you straight away, okay, this vision is rooted in the actual realities, the challenges these massive companies face day to day.
Right.
But it's not just who he worked with. It's the scope of his expertise within these places. He gets the whole pharmaceutical life cycle, right?
Exactly, from the absolute inception of an idea.
Like drug discovery.
Yeah, that first step, all the way through R&D, the engine of innovation, clinical trials, that really rigorous testing for safety and efficacy.
The crucial phase.
And beyond that, his knowledge covers areas like medical device manufacturing. You need that for diagnostics, for delivery.
Not just the drug itself.
And navigating the incredibly complex world of regulatory compliance, the legal, the ethical landscape.
Which is huge in pharma.
Massive. And he's also deep into healthcare supply chains, making sure these life-saving products actually get to patients efficiently, securely.
All the way from lab to market, as he calls it.
That's his term, yeah. And that holistic understanding, it's rare, and is what makes his insights so valuable.
And here's where it gets, I think, particularly compelling.
Yeah.
His time at Microsoft.
The tech side overlap.
Right. Because while he was there, he wasn't just, building tech in a vacuum. He collaborated directly with pharma CXOs.
The top executives.
Yeah, the C-suite.
Yeah.
Specifically focusing on streamlining productivity across that whole lab-to-market life cycle.
So bridging the gap.
Exactly. He has this unique ability to connect cutting-edge technology with the very specific, often really tough industry challenges that pharma leaders grapple with constantly. He speaks both languages fluently, tech and pharma.
That makes sense. And this foundational experience, it then logically leads us to understanding the evolution of pharma itself, doesn't it? Which sets the stage for Pharma 5.0.
Right, you need the history.
You do. Understanding where the industry's been is, it's crucial to predicting where it's going. Pharma 5.0 isn't just some standalone concept that appeared out of nowhere.
It builds on what came before.
Precisely. It logically builds on previous waves of transformation. We can trace it back through several distinct phases.
Okay, so let's trace it. Where do we start? Pharma 2.0.
Let's start there. Pharma 2.0, roughly that period from, say, 2005 to 2015.
Okay, that decade.
Mishra calls this a transformative phase. It's where digital transformation first really emerged as a significant driver.
So the early days of digital in pharma.
Yeah. And it was during this time he was working in an R&D program management office, so he got that deep understanding of the processes involved. Drug discovery, R&D, trials. He saw the seeds of digital change being planted.
He was there on the ground floor, seeing the initial challenges digital could solve.
Exactly. And as the industry moved forward, we saw the rise of Pharma 3.0 and then 4.0.
Right, Pharma 4.0 became a big buzzword.
It did. By 2019, you had big consulting firms like McKinsey really pushing for Pharma 4.0 disruptions.
What did that involve mainly?
More digitization, more automation, integrating things like online testing and quality control labs, significant steps, definitely, more connected systems in manufacturing, quality control.
But there were limits.
There were. And Ajit Mishra saw this firsthand. He talks about the challenges faced in aligning the Pharma 3.0 and 4.0 narratives with the limitations imposed by computational power.
So the tech couldn't quite keep up with the ambition.
Kinda. There was a bottleneck, yeah. A ceiling on what could really be achieved with the tech available then, especially for processing these massive, complex biological and chemical data sets.
And that right there sets the stage for the inevitable leap, doesn't it, to Pharma 5.0?
It does.
This whole historical context, it just leads you to the conclusion that a new, more powerful paradigm was absolutely needed.
The previous steps were important milestones, but they hit a wall.
Right. And generative AI, it isn't just an incremental improvement. It feels like the catalyst for this next, much more fundamental revolution.
It's not just evolution, it's redefinition.
Exactly. A redefinition of what's even possible.
Precisely. So the core of Pharma 5.0, as Ajit Mishra lays it out, is generative AI acting as the ultimate game changer.
The key ingredient.
His central argument is crystal clear. It's time to redefine digital transformation with the invigorating power of generative AI. That's the key phrase. To usher in the Pharma 5.0.
So it's not just about doing things faster or cheaper, necessarily.
It's about a fundamental shift in capabilities. It's going to permeate every single layer of the industry.
And why generative AI specifically? What makes it different?
Good question. It's not just about, say, analyzing existing data or automating repetitive tasks, though, those are valuable too.
Sure.
This is about creating new possibilities, moving beyond analysis to active generation.
Creating things that didn't exist before.
Exactly. Generative AI's ability to conjure up novel molecular structures, to optimize formulations we hadn't even thought of.
Wow.
And to simulate incredibly complex scenarios with unprecedented accuracy. That's what truly sets Pharma 5.0 apart from 4.0 or 3.0.
So it transforms the process from just searching for answers
To actively inventing them.
That's a huge shift.
It is. And the promise here is, well, it's nothing short of self-disruption and accelerated innovation.
What does he mean by disrupt itself?
The article emphasizes that this approach is bound to disrupt itself with the Pharma 5.0 narrative, meaning the advancements fuel further advancements, it accelerates innovation, maximizes ROI, it becomes this self-perpetuating cycle. New capabilities unlock more potential, which leads to new capabilities.
A virtuous cycle driven by AI.
You got it. And it's important to note, Mishra himself points this out.
Yeah.
His suggestions are based on his personal, continuously updated experiences and the example tech he mentions. It's indicative, not prescriptive.
Meaning it's always changing.
Right. It highlights the dynamic, evolving nature of this field. This isn't some static blueprint carved in stone. It's a living, breathing vision.
Okay, so this next part is where it gets really interesting, I think. Ajit Mishra didn't just talk theory. He laid out 20 concrete ideas.
20 specific applications.
Yeah, where generative AI can fundamentally redefine the pharmaceutical sector. Let's unpack these, maybe group them by impact.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Let's start right at the heart of it. Revolutionizing drug discovery and development. This is the engine.
Absolutely. This is the front line of innovation, the ability to create rather than just analyze. It changes everything here, shifts the whole paradigm.
Okay, idea one, accelerated drug discovery. The solution is basically generative AI speeding up the whole process.
Oh.
By generating novel molecular structures, predicting how they'll interact with targets in the body, and then optimizing these potential drug candidates.
Okay, so not just finding existing ones, but making new ones.
Exactly. And the impact, huge, significantly reducing the time and, importantly, the cost required to bring new drugs to market.
Which means?
Imagine the implications. Treating rare diseases faster, responding to global health crises like pandemics much more rapidly.
Yeah, breakthroughs happening on a totally different timescale.
It's truly foundational, like you said. Instead of that long, expensive, often hit-or-miss process in the lab.
The traditional trial and error.
Right. AI allows for rapid virtual prototyping. Billions of potential compounds screened virtually.
Shifting from searching for that needle in a haystack
to actually creating the perfect needle with incredible precision.
So how would a proof of concept, a PC, for that actually work?
Okay, so first you define the target, the disease, the biological pathway you want to hit.
Got it. Focus.
Then you use these powerful generative models, things like GANs, generative adversarial networks.
Right, the ones where two AIs kind of compete.
Exactly. One generates new molecules, the other tries to tell if they're real or AI made. This pushes the generator to get better and better at creating realistic, novel drug candidates.
And VAEs, variational autoencoders.
Yeah, another type. You train these models on massive amounts of existing chemical data, basically teaching them the rules of what makes a good drug molecule.
Okay, train the AI.
Then you evaluate the molecules it generates, check for drug likeness, bioavailability, specificity, all done using computer simulations.
In silico testing, molecular docking, dynamic simulations.
Right, predicting how well it binds to the target. It's a massive leap in efficiency.
Huge. Okay, what's next in this discovery space?
Building on that efficiency idea, let's talk about giving old drugs new tricks. Idea 10, AI-driven drug repurposing.
Finding new uses for existing medicines.
Exactly. Generative AI analyzes huge drug databases, looks at molecular interactions, maps out disease pathways, all to find new therapeutic uses for drugs we already have.
And the impact there, that seems pretty significant too.
Monumental. It drastically accelerates getting new treatments developed because you're using drugs that already have known safety profiles.
They've already passed a lot of regulatory hurdles.
Precisely. It cuts down development timelines enormously, reduces risk, reduces cost.
That's not just efficiency, that's massive strategic value, isn't it?
Totally.
Imagine the edge a company gets if it can quickly pivot an existing drug to a new disease area. While competitors are still starting from scratch, spending way more on R&D with higher risk.
It's a game changer strategically. How would you do a PC for that?
You'd start by collecting and pre-processing all that data, drug databases, interaction data, disease pathways.
Okay.
Then using things like NLP, natural language processing,
So for understanding tasks.
and graph analytics,
Yeah.
the AI identifies potential drug disease links that a human might just miss in all that data.
Finding hidden connections.
Exactly. Then you train models to predict the efficacy, the safety of these repurposed candidates, and of course you validate. In vitro tests in the lab, in vivo, in organisms.
So it's a super efficient way to unlock new therapies from what we already have.
Highly efficient, yes. Strategic goldmine.
Okay, taking that complexity up a notch. Idea 12, AI-enabled drug combination optimization.
Using multiple drugs together, like in cancer treatment often.
Exactly. Generative AI optimizes these combination therapies. It analyzes how drugs interact, deciphers molecular pathways, even considers individual patient characteristics.
To find the best mix.
Yeah. The impact is identifying synergistic combinations, ones that work better together, improve efficacy, and crucially reduce toxicity.
Which is huge for complex diseases like cancer, where single drugs often fail or resistance develops.
Right.
What's really cool here is moving beyond just, trying random combinations towards intelligent multi-drug therapies designed to be more potent and safer. How would that PBC work? It seems complex.
It is. You define a target disease where combos are key, then use generative models like GANs again to explore the huge space of possible combinations.
Train them on interaction data, pathway info, patient characteristics.
Exactly. Then evaluate the AI-generated combinations for those synergistic effects. Do they work better together?
Yeah.
Efficacy, safety.
And validate again, in vitro, in vivo.
Right. It's a much smarter approach to polypharmacy. More targeted, more effective.
Makes sense. Okay, one more in this discovery development bucket.
Last one here, but super important. Idea 2, optimized formulation development.
Formulation. So how the drug is actually made and delivered, like pills, injections.
Exactly. The solution is generative AI optimizing the drug formulation itself, generating optimal compositions, predicting stability, improving bioavailability.
Bioavailability, how much actually gets absorbed and used by the body.
Right. And the impact. Enhancing the efficacy and safety of the final product, making sure the drug works as intended once you take it. It's often overlooked but vital.
Yeah, it raises that point. What good is a perfect drug molecule if it doesn't get delivered right or degrades on the shelf?
Exactly.
The perfect drug isn't just the active ingredient. It's equally about how it's delivered and absorbed, its shelf life.
And AI helps perfect that delivery mechanism. How?
The POSI approach defines what you want: solubility, stability targets, constraints.
Okay.
Then use generative models, GNs maybe, to create diverse options. Different excipients, the inactive stuff.
Fillers, binders.
Right. Their ratios, even manufacturing parameters. Train the models using existing formulation data so they learn what works.
Then evaluate the AI suggestions.
Yeah, evaluate the generated formulations for stability, solubility, bioavailability using predictive modeling. Then, of course, do the actual lab experiments to validate.
So it's about engineering the perfect vehicle for the medicine.
Precisely. A crucial, often underestimated part of the process.
Great, let's shift gears. Let's look at a category where AI promises to make healthcare much more individual, more effective for the patient directly.
Personalized medicine and patient care.
Yeah, this is where you see that direct impact on outcomes, right? Moving from general treatments to highly tailored ones.
Absolutely. This really feels like the future of medicine taking shape.
And idea 3, precision medicine and genomics is, well, it's a massive one.
Huge potential here.
Generative AI facilitates this by analyzing enormous amounts of genomic data, identifying specific genetic markers.
Your unique genetic code.
Right. And enabling truly personalized treatment plans based on that code.
In that pact.
Tailoring interventions based on your individual genetic variations, which should make treatments far more effective and, crucially, less prone to side effects.
That's the dream, isn't it? Treatments designed for your specific biology, not some average person.
Finally realizing that promise. How would a PC work? You need a lot of data.
You do. Collect genomic data and the corresponding clinical info from a diverse group of patients.
Okay.
Then use deep learning models like CNNs, convolutional neural networks, maybe for spotting patterns in sequences.
Or LSTMs.
Yeah, long short-term memory networks for sequence analysis. Use these to analyze the data, find those subtle genetic markers linked to disease or treatment response.
Train the model to predict things based on genes.
Exactly. Predict disease risk, how someone might respond to a specific treatment, even their risk of drug toxicity.
And then use that info.
Integrate it with clinical decision support systems. Give doctors personalized recommendations. Validate by comparing outcomes with the old one-size-fits-all approach.
Makes sense. Okay, building on that personalization, idea 9, personalized drug dosage.
Getting the amount right for each person?
Yeah. Generative AI enables this by analyzing a patient's unique characteristics, their genetics, their individual responses to treatment so far.
And the impact is optimizing the dose for that specific patient.
Right. Enhancing therapeutic outcomes, minimizing side effects,
Yeah.
moving beyond that old one-size-fits-all dosing.
Which, let's face it, means some people get too much, some get too little.
Exactly.
This feels like a huge step forward for patient safety and just making sure the treatment actually works effectively.
Totally. Making sure each patient gets the exact amount they need when they need it.
Yeah.
Avoiding underdosing, which doesn't work, and overdosing, which can be dangerous.
How would you test that? The p-value?
Collect rich patient data, demographics, history, genetics, how they actually responded to different doses.
Okay.
Use LSTM models, maybe reinforcement learning, to predict the optimal dosages based on that data. Train the model to give personalized recommendations.
Integrate it with EHRs, electronic health records.
Yeah, and clinical decision support systems. Then validate through proper clinical studies, comparing against standard dosing.
Very logical. What about getting people to actually take their meds?
Ah, yes. The often overlooked but critical area. Idea 17, AI-driven drug adherence and patient engagement.
Making sure people stick to the plan.
Right. Generative AI improves adherence and engagement by analyzing patient behavior, their health data, and then crafting personalized interventions.
So customized reminders or support.
Exactly. The impact. Better medication adherence, which leads directly to better treatment outcomes, higher patient satisfaction. It tackles that common barrier, people just not taking their meds as prescribed.
It's like AI as a personalized health coach almost.
That's a great way to put it.
Keeping patients on track, which is so crucial for chronic conditions, right? For long-term health. How would that work?
You'd collect and analyze patient data, med history, lifestyle, maybe data from wearables or health monitors.
Okay.
Use predictive analytics, reinforcement learning maybe, to spot adherence patterns and figure out what interventions work best for that individual. Personalized nudges.
Right. Train the model to provide personalized reminders, tailored educational content, maybe behavioral suggestions. Integrate it with patient apps or platforms.
Validate.
Surveys, adherence monitoring, checking actual health outcomes. It's about empowering patients in their own health journey.
Okay, let's shift focus again.
Yeah.
How about streamlining those really complex, often slow and costly areas?
Yeah.
Clinical trials and regulatory processes.
Ah, yes, the bottlenecks. This is where AI could unlock massive efficiency gains.
Delays here cost a fortune.
Right.
And slow down access to new medicines.
Absolutely. Delays mean higher costs, and critically, patients waiting longer for potentially life-saving treatments.
Okay, first one sounds almost like science fiction. Idea 8, virtual clinical trials.
Simulating trials on computers.
Essentially, yeah. Generative AI enables this by realistically simulating huge patient populations, predicting trial outcomes, and optimizing the trial design itself.
The impacts there seems enormous.
It is. Dramatically lower costs compared to physical trials, much faster timelines, maybe even better patient recruitment and retention for the physical trials that follow, bringing drugs to market way faster.
Wow. So this could really shorten the whole drug approval journey, especially early stages.
That's the idea. Freeing up resources for those essential later-stage physical trials. What's the P2C look like?
Define the trial goals, the patient population characteristics, the treatment protocols.
Okay.
Use generative models, GNs maybe, to simulate virtual patients based on real demographic, genetic, clinical data.
Train the model to predict outcomes.
Yeah, predicts outcomes under different scenarios, optimize the trial design using reinforcement learning, aiming for maximum recruitment, minimum costs, etc.
Do validation.
Meticulously compare the virtual trial results with traditional physical trial data, always ensuring regulatory compliance and data integrity are paramount.
Makes sense. And related to that is idea 13, AI-assisted clinical trial design.
So not running the whole trial virtually, but designing the real ones better.
Exactly. AI assists by predicting patient recruitment rates more accurately, optimizing those tricky inclusion-exclusion criteria.
Who gets into the trial and who doesn't?
Right, and identifying the best trial endpoints, what you actually measure to see if the drug works.
The impact being more efficient trials from the get-go, higher chance of success.
That's the goal, making real-world trials smarter, more targeted right from the start, reducing the time and cost sunk into recruitment and data analysis, which can really bog things down.
How would you pose that?
Define the objectives, population desired outcomes. Use LSTMs, reinforcement learning to predict recruitment. optimize the criteria.
Simulate virtual scenarios.
Yeah, simulate different trial designs to see what works best on paper, optimize the endpoints using reinforcement learning, validate by comparing predicted versus actual trial outcomes later, and measuring the efficiency gains. Okay. And the last one in this area, super critical. Idea 20, AI-enhanced regulatory compliance.
Navigating that maze of rules.
Exactly. Generative AI enhances compliance by meticulously analyzing vast regulatory guidelines, internal quality data, even past inspection records.
The impact being staying out of trouble.
Pretty much. Ensuring unwavering adherence to complex, changing standards. Streamlining compliance processes, drastically reducing the risk of non-compliance.
Which can be catastrophic in pharma. Fines, recalls, public health crises.
Right. It's one of the most regulated industries for a reason.
So AI acts like a vigilant guardian, always watching.
That's a good way to think of it. Ensuring companies meet, maybe even exceed, the standards needed to protect public health and avoid costly mistakes or delays.
Posey for that.
Collect and analyze guidelines, quality data, inspection records. Use NLP, predictive analytics, to pull out relevant info. Identify potential compliance gaps in real time.
Train the model to give advice.
Yeah, provide immediate, actionable compliance recommendations. Integrate it with existing compliance systems, quality management platforms. Validate through mock inspections. Compare it to manual methods. Okay, let's pivot now. Let's talk about operations and the supply chain. Maybe less glamorous, but absolutely essential.
Absolutely. Critical for getting medicines to people and maintaining trust. Failures here have immediate, widespread consequences.
Okay, idea 5. Efficient pharma supply chain management. AI optimizes operations here.
How? Predicting demand, managing inventory.
Exactly. Predicting demand more accurately, improving inventory management intelligently, enhancing the whole logistics and distribution network.
The impact seems clear. Lower cost and, crucially, ensuring timely availability of medicines.
Right. Vital for global health, business continuity, especially during crises like pandemics.
Just think about the complexity. Predicting flu vaccine needs seasonally, managing global distribution for a specialized new drug. AI helps ensure the right meds are in the right place, right time.
How would you test that, POC?
Collect historical sales data, supply chain data, external factors like weather or health alerts.
Okay.
Use time series forecasting models like LSTMs to predict future demand, optimize inventory levels, train models to optimize distribution routes, scheduling using reinforcement learning.
Integrate with existing systems.
Yeah, integrate with supply chain management systems for real-time decisions. Validate by measuring improvements, cost efficiency, on-time delivery, inventory turnover, show the tangible benefits.
Makes sense. And a really critical related point, touching on safety again. Idea 19, AI-powered drug supply chain security.
Fighting counterfeit drugs, ensuring traceability.
Exactly. AI enhances security by analyzing supply chain data, proactively detecting counterfeit products, ensuring complete traceability for every single item.
The impact there is huge for patient safety. Counterfeit drugs are a massive global problem.
Huge. So this reduces that risk, protects patients, maintains the integrity and trust in the whole supply chain.
It's like a powerful defense against dangerous fakes, building transparency into every step, from factory to patient.
How does that work, Paisia?
Collect and integrate all sorts of data. Supply chain movements, manufacturing info, authentication mechanisms.
Okay.
Use predictive analytics, anomaly detection to spot potential counterfeits or suspicious activity. Train models to ensure end-to-end traceability, maybe using blockchain tech.
Integrate and validate.
Yeah, integrate with supply chain management systems, authentication tech. Validate through pilot implementations. Measure detection accuracy, impact on integrity and safety.
Okay, moving towards the business side now. Optimizing strategy, market insights, giving pharma companies an edge.
Right. In such a competitive industry with massive R&D costs, understanding the market precisely isn't a luxury. It's essential for survival and growth.
First up, Idea 6, AI-driven market research. Revolutionizing how companies understand the market.
How? Analyzing more data. Faster.
Yeah, analyzing truly vast amounts of disparate data. Identifying emerging trends, predicting customer preferences with more nuance.
The impact being better decisions, more targeted marketing.
Exactly. Enabling data-driven decisions with more confidence, making sure products actually meet real-world needs, resonate with patients and doctors.
Letting companies understand the market on a totally new scale, going beyond simple demographics to deeper insights.
That's the idea. Innovate and strategize with surgical precision.
PRC.
Collect and pre-process tons of market data. Scientific articles, patents, trial data, social media buzz, customer feedback.
Use NLP heavily here.
Crucial for pulling out key insights, doing sentiment analysis, topic modeling to see what people are really talking about.
And AI generates reports.
Yeah, generates market intelligence reports, competitive analyses, predictive analytics, integrate it with business intelligence systems, validate against traditional methods, measure the impact on strategy.
Okay, then there's the thorny issue of pricing. Idea 16. AI-enabled drug pricing optimization.
Ooh, that's a tough one. How can AI help there? By analyzing complex market dynamics, navigating intricate reimbursement policies, and importantly, factoring in patient affordability.
To find the right price.
The impact is enabling fair, equitable pricing, maximizing market access for vital drugs, supporting sustainable business models. It's about balancing innovation costs with accessibility needs.
That is an incredibly delicate balance, isn't it? Funding innovation versus ensuring access. AI helps navigate that complexity.
That's the hope. Finding fair, sustainable pricing models benefiting companies and patients. How do you test that?
P-Modesty involves collecting market data, competitor pricing, reimbursement rules, patient demographics.
You like different prices.
Yeah, use predictive analytics, reinforcement learning to simulate pricing scenarios, predict market response, train models to optimize pricing strategies, evaluate the impact on access, affordability, business sustainability, validate through market simulation, sensitivity analysis.
Okay, and one more on the business strategy side, ID 18, AI-assisted drug patent analysis. Protecting intellectual property.
Super important in pharma. IP is king.
Right. AI assists by analyzing huge patent databases, scientific literature, market intelligence.
It helps with IP strategy, manage the portfolio, find licensing deals.
Exactly. Protecting that crucial IP in a sector where R&D costs are astronomical.
Yeah, with billions spent on R&D, IP is often the most valuable asset. AI becomes an indispensable tool for managing and leveraging patents strategically. POS.
Collect and pre-process massive amounts of patent data from public sources, scientific literature.
Use NLP and text mining.
Definitely. To extract relevant info from dense legal and scientific text. Train models to map patent landscapes, analyze citations, identify licensing opportunities, integrate with IP management systems. Validate via expert evaluation, compared to manual analysis.
Right. Our final category. Arguably where the impact is most direct, most human. Safeguarding patient safety and enhancing clinical decision-making.
Yes, this touches the core ethical duties of the industry and healthcare providers. Better safety, accuracy, efficiency here saves lives, prevents suffering, builds trust.
Starting with idea 7, automated adverse drug reaction detection, ADRs, catching side effects faster.
Yeah. AI automates detection by analyzing huge amounts of EHR data, medical literature, even social media chatter.
The impact being better patient safety. Proactive pharmacovigilance.
Exactly. Catching potential problems much, much faster than traditional manual reporting ever could.
This seems crucial for spotting subtle or widespread side effects that might otherwise take too long to emerge. Enhances post-market surveillance massively.
How does it work?
EcoC.
Collect and integrate data from EHRs, literature, social media. Use NLP, text mining, to extract and classify ADR info from all these varied sources. Train the AI to spot potential ADRs.
Yeah, classify them, detect them, maybe even predict severity. Integrate with pharmacovigilance systems for real-time monitoring alerts, validate against manual methods, measure the impact on safety.
Okay.
And broadening that out. Idea 11, automated pharmacovigilance.
So the whole surveillance system, automated.
Pretty much. AI automates pharmacovigilance activities by continuously analyzing adverse event reports, literature, social media. The impact being better detection and monitoring of safety signals overall. Continuous surveillance.
Right. Enhancing patient safety through a robust, always-on system across the drug's whole life cycle.
So it's beyond just spotting individual ADRs. It's building this comprehensive, constant monitoring system, essential with complex drug interactions, diverse populations. POC similar to the ADR one.
Very similar. Collect and integrate the reports, literature, social data. NLP text mining extracts and classifies events. Train models to identify potential safety signals, predict severity, integrate with pharmacovigilance systems for real-time signal detection. Validate against traditional methods, speed, accuracy, comprehensiveness. Got it. Next, predictive power. Idea 14, AI-powered drug safety prediction.
Predicting problems before they happen.
That's the goal. AI predicts safety issues by analyzing historical adverse event data, the drug's molecular properties, patient characteristics.
Impact, proactive risk assessment, early interventions.
Exactly, preventing widespread issues before they even get a chance to develop.
That feels like a major shift. from reacting to safety problems to proactively predicting them, identifying risks early, preventing harm, maybe even guiding safer drug development from the start.
Right, cuckoos.
Collect and integrate adverse event data, molecular properties, patient characteristics, NLP text mining extracts and classifies past events. Train models to predict the likelihood, severity of future adverse events. Integrate with safety surveillance systems for real-time risk assessment. Validate against traditional methods, sensitivity, specificity, how timely the predictions are.
Okay, and the final idea, really empowering for doctors. Idea 15, AI-enabled clinical decision support.
Helping doctors make better choices at the point of care.
Exactly. AI provides crucial support by analyzing vast patient data, the latest medical literature, established treatment guidelines.
The impact seems obvious. Better diagnostic accuracy, better treatment selection for individuals, better patient management overall.
Right. Empowering healthcare professionals with data-driven insights when they need them most.
It's like giving clinicians an intelligent co-pilot, isn't it?
That's a perfect analogy.
Helping them navigate all that information, patient history, symptoms, latest research, guidelines to make the best possible decisions for their patients. Who they see.
Collect and integrate patient data history, symptoms, test results. Use NLP, knowledge graphs to pull relevant, contextual info from literature and guidelines.
Train the models to give recommendations.
Yeah, evidence-based recommendations.
Yeah.
Integrate with EHRs, clinical decision support systems. Validate through expert evaluation, compare AI recommendations to standard practice, assess improvements in diagnosis and outcomes.
Wow. Okay, so if we connect all those dots, 20 different areas, what's the big picture?
It really illustrates a complete paradigm shift, doesn't it?
From molecule to market, like you said.
Exactly. Transforming every single facet of the pharma sector, making it more agile, way more efficient, and ultimately much more effective for patients everywhere.
It's a vision of, well, unprecedented advancements.
Truly is.
So these 20 ideas, they paint this vivid, really exciting future for Pharma 5.0, a landscape transformed.
Hugely transformative. But actually doing it, executing such a huge enterprise-wide change, that takes more than just cool tech.
Oh, absolutely. It requires strategic leadership, a clear shared roadmap.
And this is where Ajit Mishra's broader contributions, beyond just the Pharma 5.0 idea, become so critical. The community aspect.
Exactly, because the rapid emergence of AI, especially generative AI, it's created this fundamentally new leadership role.
The CAIO, Chief AI Officer.
Precisely, a role that barely existed a few years ago, and it demands specialized guidance, a clear purpose, and practical tools to actually lead that enterprise-scale AI transformation.
And Mishra stepped into that gap.
He did. He crafted the CAIO Playbook, described as a field-hardened, no-nonsense guide for today's Chief AI Officer.
Field-hardened, so based on real experience, not just theory.
Exactly. Battle-tested advice, its core purpose, to directly answer that huge question. How to scale AI initiatives beyond pilot projects and truly transform business.
Moving beyond just cool little experiments.
Yeah, getting to systemic, enterprise-wide change.
And the playbook focuses on the right kind of AI.
It does. Specifically highlights generative, agentic, and multimodal AI, the cutting-edge stuff driving Pharma 5.0 and other transformations.
And it helps define the CAIO role itself.
Absolutely. Brings much-needed clarity and purpose to the responsibilities of chief AI officers, defines and legitimizes this vital new role. Ultimately, it empowers them to lead AI-led transformation at enterprise scale, moving from fragmented successes to deep systemic impact.
And it's practical, like how-to guidance.
Very much so. It provides comprehensive guidance across the whole AI lifecycle, lays out how to think, plan, act, and lead effectively, from the initial strategy all the way through to execution. It's a complete leadership blueprint.
Okay, but a playbook is one thing. How does the community part work?
That's where CAIOZ.com comes in. Because Ajit Mishra clearly understood, you need the community too.
Right.
The playbook, published July 2024, wasn't just dropped into the void. It immediately sparked meaningful conversations among AI leaders worldwide.
So it got people talking.
Exactly. That global resonance is critical because those collaborative discussions are actively shaping how organizations structure their AI leadership and scale capabilities. Right now, it's a living dialogue.
And CAIOZ.com is the hub for that dialogue.
It's the vital digital hub, yeah. Through CAIOZ.com and its channels, Mishra's insights keep fueling that ongoing conversation in global AI ecosystems.
What's its mission exactly?
Clear mission: connecting enterprise leaders with real-world frameworks to accelerate AI adoption and transformation. It's a dynamic resource for leaders on the front lines, providing practical guidance, fostering collaboration.
That community aspect really does feel crucial.
Cannot be overstated. It's not just about individual knowledge or one brilliant playbook. It's about collective intelligence, shared learning, building that global network of leaders who support each other, navigating this complex new frontier.
It ensures the vision, like Pharma 5.0, actually has the leadership and community backing to thrive, to be implemented successfully, ethically at scale. And that, I think, wraps up our deep dive for today. We've journeyed through Ajit Mishra's vision for Pharma 5.0.
Explored how generative AI is truly a fundamental, revolutionary shift
Across 20 distinct, vital areas of the industry, from speeding up drug discovery
to securing supply chains, enhancing personalized patient care.
the potential for transformation is just immense, promising an era of unprecedented health advancements.
And we also highlighted that critical piece beyond the tech, leadership and community.
Championed by Mishra through the CAIO Playbook and CAIOZ.com. Essential for guiding organizations through this complex, exciting evolution.
Making sure the innovations aren't just developed, but are implemented effectively, scaled globally, achieve their full potential.
So this revolution in pharma, it promises amazing things. Faster cures, more personalized treatments for all of us. But, with such immense power comes immense responsibility.
Always the case.
So a final thought for you, our listeners. What role do we as consumers, as citizens, play in all this?
Yeah, how do we ensure these AI-driven innovations are not just effective, but also ethically sound, equitable?
Accessible to everyone who needs them, regardless of their circumstances, where they live.
How do we make sure the incredible promise of Pharma 5.0 truly benefits all of humanity?
Something to ponder. Until next time, keep digging deeper.